Hi, T4 friends. We are so glad to be back with you here today. And I'm very excited to introduce a brilliant scientist, a good friend. This is Dr. Mike Siegel. He works at PeDRA, which is the Pediatric Dermatology Research Alliance. And Dr. Siegel has previous education in biomedical engineering at different places around the world, but then was intrigued by the skin disease community, worked a little bit at National Psoriasis Foundation till he found his way over to PeDRA, and now he's the executive director for quite a bit, for about 5 years. Is that right, Mike?
Yeah, a little over 5 years now.
A little over 5 years now, and they are doing great things, and I just can't wait to hear all about it and talk about all the things PeDRA. So tell me about PeDRA. What is it? What do you do?
Yeah, first off, thank you so much for having me, Alana. It's a pleasure to be here. You're one of my favorite people to see out on kind of the circuit of meetings that we all find ourselves at throughout the year, and very grateful for the opportunity to be on this podcast. So, who is PeDRA? What are we? We are the Pediatric Dermatology Research Alliance. We were formed about 13 years ago now. It's 2025. We were officially formed in 2012 in response to the recognition that there was not enough research taking place in the field of pediatric dermatology, and the research that was taking place was happening too slowly to be meaningful for the patients and families facing the burden of living with childhood skin diseases and conditions. So, a group of leaders in the field at the time got together, realized if they pooled their resources, pooled their capacity, pooled their interest in doing research, they could move things forward more quickly. And that was really the basis for PeDRA back at the beginning. It was a platform for collaborative research for pediatric dermatologists, predominantly in North America, to share ideas, pool data, and again, move things forward more quickly than they ever otherwise would. So, fast forward 13 years from then, we are still identify ourselves as a platform for collaborative research in the field, but we do a lot more than that, really having broadened the scope of our mission since the early days to really be interested in advancing research in the field in any way possible, whatever it'll take to move things forward for the sake of patients and families in need. So, along the way, in addition to the platform for collaboration, we offer grants and fellowships. We provide education, something called podcasts, like we're doing here. We do our own podcasts, webinars. We have a great annual conference that we're very proud of. We and are offering kind of an evolving lineup of resources that we hope will help clinician scientists who are not necessarily trained in research and probably don't have time to do research to help them actually move research forward. So we have a centralized biostatistician, we have somebody who can do research coordination, and we're evolving those sorts of resources to help people move science forward. And the last thing I'll say that we do that I think is one of the things that I enjoy most and that I think is one of the most impactful things for PeDRA is that we really cultivate collaboration and community. And there are a lot of groups that do this, but I'm very proud of the fact that we are very mission focused. We are predominantly professional in terms of the community who we serve through medical professionals doing research in pediatric dermatology. But we work very closely with patient advocacy groups, other nonprofit organizations, other funding agencies, industry partners, anybody who we see in the community who can help us advance our mission in support of children and families because something they're doing aligns. We are here ready to work with you. And that's one of the other things that PeDRA does effectively and that I'm very proud of.
Yes, I agree with everything. I agree with everything. And they're lucky to have you running the show there because I think you wear many hats very well. Yeah, and as far as the collaboration, the meeting feels collaborative. It hasn't lost that over the years for sure. And I know that was the whole platform and how it started is that collaborative research. And I feel like that really has been maintained and maybe even strengthened in a lot of ways. And again, when you have people that are passionate about helping kids with skin disease, and it's, such a small percentage of the dermatology pie. But the great thing about it is because of PeDRA, it is growing by leaps and bounds. And the need is just so great with peds research, right? Like, you know, it used to be a virtual desert to even get pediatric dermatology care anywhere in the United States. There are still are some deserts of pediatric dermatology
Mhm.
in our country where they don't have pediatric dermatologists. And it's a growing field just clinically, but then the research arm of it is amazing. So, what are some of the big research thing initiatives that you are really focusing on? I know there's many, but what are some big ones that you're focusing on for 2025?
Yeah, that's a great question. I thought you might ask something along those lines, but it is really interesting to see the evolution of this field and the activity and the role that PeDRA is playing in it. So some of the things that we're focused on, one area that we're very active in recent years is in guidelines development. So it's kind of research-ish. It's definitely a research component. Clinical care guidelines are driven by science and based on data, which can be challenging in a field like pediatric dermatology when there's not always a ton of data on the use of therapies that maybe have been off label for years or whatever the case may be. But PeDRA is working hard at making an annual investment in supporting initiatives to drive the development of guidelines, consensus guidelines in the field, knowing they're really a pillar for clinical care inside and outside the pediatric dermatology office. A lot of other decision makers base things they do upon guidelines. So that's something we're really active in. We have been very active in the mental health space. Something else very important when you think about the burden of childhood skin diseases. I would say most, since I've been in the field of dermatology, it seems like most, if not all, diseases affecting the skin go far beyond the skin in terms of their impact. Sometimes you can quantify that based on a different organ system, your cardiovascular system, or something else is being impacted. But the brain and mental well-being, psychosocial well-being are things that are extremely significant. And when you think about the impact of a visible skin condition on a child, it's really profound and something that I was surprised and many might be surprised that we didn't actually know the true burden of that. So PeDRA launched actually in 2018 a large-scale study into the stigma and psychosocial burden of visible chronic childhood skin diseases. Just recently came out with the first manuscript resulting from that study. It was really cool to see. This is kind of a reflection of the power of PeDRA. 10 years ago, we didn't have a network that could initiate and do a study like this, but we brought together 32 academic medical sites or academic institutions. We had funding from 2 industry partners and 7 patient advocacy groups to move a study to really explore that question on a large scale. What is the stigma and psychosocial burden of childhood skin diseases forward? And having launched it in 2018, you might think about the timing. We actually weathered the pandemic through that study, so it was disruptive, but again, a testament to the strength of this organization that we were able to see it through and come out with a really meaningful publication that quantifies some of the things that many people knew probably, that there is a significant psychosocial burden associated with visible childhood skin diseases. Beyond that, I'll say there is a lot, like you alluded to. We have 11 focused study groups. These are the collaborative research groups that kind of form the basis of PeDRA and the research that we carry out. So each of those 11 groups has usually dozens of different studies that they're working on, spanning many different disease areas. So a lot of different things happening. Some things are kind of explorational. Some things are working on quality improvement. Some things are really deep science, molecular type questions. And for me, I think some of those actually molecular type questions, the projects that are really trying to define disease characteristics in such a way that we might be able to one day come out with precision medicine, early intervention, prediction of disease onset, natural history, things that can really change the landscape of pediatric dermatology and therapeutics moving forward. I think some of the things that we see are going to originate from some of the studies within the PeDRA network. And lots of cool stuff. I could talk to you for the next 2 hours about what's happening in PeDRA. It's very exciting. And yeah, cool to see what's going to come.
Yeah, you very much get that sense when you're at the meeting. And I was lucky enough, as you know, to be at this meeting this past year, actually representing Made a Masterpiece, the other hat that I wear. But just being able to sit in on some of those meetings of the mind was pretty amazing. There is some really, really great work being done by PeDRA. And I would encourage anybody that's a pediatric dermatologist, if you're not a member of PeDRA, to go ahead and get your membership in place because you should be going. And I do think that, anybody that goes into medicine is essentially a researcher in some ways, a scientist, right? Or they wouldn't have landed there. And there are
Mhm.
plenty of questions that, the more perspectives we have, the better we are. So I think, being there at that meeting, you really get the feeling that PeDRA is moving things forward, and really making the world a better place for kids with skin disease ultimately in the end. And like, you alluded to with the big study with the psychosocial, it was so good to have that come out and to see it. And again, we know it. You're sitting down with patients, they're suffering, but to have that quantified, just really strengthens our platform that we really do need to be taking these kids seriously, it informs the care, and then how can we best, come together to support the kids in that realm, in addition to some of that microscience. Yeah, it's got that big gambit of what is going on in your world for sure, from the microscience. And then some of the speakers you had at the past PeDRA, like with the grid and all that. That was amazing.
Mhm.
Do you want to talk a
Mhm.
little bit about, I just thought that was fascinating.
Yeah. Are you talking about the neighborhood atlas?
The neighborhood atlas.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah, our keynote speaker was Dr. Amy Kind from the University of Wisconsin this past year, and she has developed a, a system for quantifying socioeconomic status across the zip codes of the United States. And she gave a great presentation to our audience, all the things that means, all the things you can learn from it, all the directions that that kind of information is leading us in. And another thing for everyone to appreciate is kind of the relevance of that kind of data to decision makers and kind of people who have a lot of power in what ultimately happens with medical care in our society. So yeah, she was terrific. I love the PeDRA conference for so many reasons, as you know. It's I really I stand by it, without any fear. It is a great event to be at, maybe the best conference all year. You see the energy of this community, you see the creativity, you see the togetherness. People check their competitiveness at the door when they come into the PeDRA conference, whether you're from a pharmaceutical company or a patient advocacy group, or you're doing research from different institutions, whatever it is, you're all there for a shared mission, and it's fun on top of everything else. So it's a busy meeting. You learn a lot. You can do a lot of work. You can collaborate, but we also have a lot of fun and really provide a great 48 hours for our community to strengthen it and move it forward. So
I agree. I love the karaoke.
I
Yay,
was going to say, I
karaoke.
didn't go there. I didn't go there, but I talk about it too much. I love the karaoke.
Well, I mean, who doesn't like some karaoke, right? We got to,
Yep.
we work hard, we play hard. So
Yep.
it's a great meeting. So what do you have teed up? Do you have anything kind of in the works for the 2020? Tell me about the next conference and tell
Yeah.
our
So
listeners about the next.
sure. Yeah, of course. Happy to kind of put something out there. The 2025 PeDRA Annual Conference is taking place October 9th to 11th in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We have a great venue picked out in downtown Minneapolis. And the focus, I already touched on consensus work as a focus of PeDRA in recent years. The theme of this year's conference is going to be all around reaching consensus, but I think for the audience to come in with an open mind to what that really means in the medical field, I think you think a lot about consensus being consensus guidelines that go through peer review and end up in a publication and drive treatment decisions and formularies, that kind of thing. But we want through this meeting for people to realize the benefit and how often you are reaching consensus, whether you're in your career and you're working with colleagues, whether you're part of a collaborative research project and you're coming to a decision on what you're doing, what the outcomes might be, and kind of the roles different types of personalities play in the consensus building process. A lot goes into the whole idea of consensus work, We're also going to bring in, as we always do, a strong patient voice to the conference. So a lot of this is taking shape, but so not a lot of concrete kind of agenda items I can share with you at this point. I can say something exciting this year. For the first time ever, we actually have a patient representative on the meetings committee that's planning the PeDRA annual conference. So the chair of our patient advocacy committee, or the patient advisory committee, Meredith Weiss, she's on the meetings committee and will have an active role in crafting the agenda this year. Something I think we always do well. I expect us to do it even better this year to really bring in patients to what we're doing at this year's conference. And then in addition to that, we're going to have our time for breakout sessions for our focus study groups to share ideas, discuss new projects, overcome obstacles together, form new collaborations. We'll have our fifth annual Next Gen Research Forum for medical students. We're planning to provide a dedicated training for leadership at the conference. And we're going to do a lot of fun stuff like karaoke. We are doing karaoke from now until I'm not sitting in this chair anymore. There's going to be karaoke at the PeDRA conference just to let people unwind together and have a great time. So
I like it. Yeah, I like it. And yeah, I do think, yeah, circling back to that, the support of patient advocacy groups, I do think you do an amazing job of that. Again, this was my first time attending as a patient advocacy group. And I think you do that than anybody, better than any other derm organization. If anybody is a future leader or a current leader listening, I would encourage you to reach out to PeDRA, ask them how they do it because they do it really well. The patient advocacy groups really feel very much involved. They feel like their voice is heard and listened to, and it actually affects change because, again, all of us went into medicine to help patients. And if we're not asking our patients, then we don't know what our patients are thinking. We might think we do because we sit with them in clinic as clinicians and, that does inform some of it. But, my favorite saying is everybody knows in T4 is you don't know what you don't know. And if you're not asking questions about it, you don't know. And you can make assumptions, but assumptions are never good, as we know. So again, I think you guys do a fantastic job. And I would encourage all the organizations, the Society of Peds Derm, the AAD, any of those, people in leadership to mimic and model after your involvement of patient organizations because like we were talking about, you guys have the spotlight, which I think is important. I think is physicians, again, there's so many great opportunities for asynchronous learning, just like T4, but all the podcasts that you guys do are rich in content. And then also, engaging with the spotlights that you guys put on the patient advocacy organizations because again, we want to help our patients in the best way possible. And being able to hear what they need really can inform our care and make it even better and make that 15 minutes we have in a clinic room even more impactful with our patients. So yeah, you guys do a really great job of that. And I want to, thank you for Made a Masterpiece hat, of the way that you incorporate that voice. So thank you for that, for sure. Yeah. So how many patient advocacy groups did you have there? It was a lot. It
it
was a
was a
lot.
lot. I don't know. Honestly, we have a
20-ish.
slide that I share at the beginning of every PeDRA, every day at the PeDRA conference. And I share all our collaborators and supporters and the slide that shares the logos of the patient advocacy groups who we're collaborating with in some way, whether they're at the meeting or not. This keeps getting more and more crowded. So
Yeah.
we're proud of that. And like it is, we're really proud of that. We put patients first. We put our mission first. I'm not saying we're the only group doing this, but I think it does give us certainly a uniqueness in certain spaces where we're again mostly professional folks are members of PeDRA, but we are so close to the front lines of our patient-focused mission and open to collaborating and trying to do things better for them on a meaningful timeline. And that really comes into focus when we're all together in person. You look around and see all the exhibit tables from patients, which are all provided for free. All the people who are in attendance there. And like you said, the recognition that making assumptions about what patients want is dangerous business, particularly if you're trying to do efficient research that matters on a meaningful timeline, which is what we are all about. So we need patients there. We all appreciate that, to identify what questions matter and to be able to move things forward in alignment with those questions quickly and effectively. So
Yes. Yeah, you guys do that in spades. So yeah, keep up that great work. I know you will. And then as far as other involvement, I actually met Mike the first time at a Coalition of Skin Diseases meeting, and that is another great thing that PeDRA is involved in as an affiliate member. They support that community as well. And that is just another great organization out there that's raising the voice of patients as well. So yeah,
agreed.
definitely a
Yep.
shout out to our friends at the Coalition of Skin Diseases and all of the member organizations that are part of that. Because T4 made a masterpiece, PeDRA, we all want to lift up the patient voice. So it's nice when we can do that with like-minded people in collaboration. It just
Yep.
makes the world a better place for sure.
Agreed.
And as far as future, like looking into the future, is there anything we didn't talk about? Like, I guess medical students, that's a great thing to actually talk about, because there are a lot of medical students that want to get involved, clearly because they're interested, but clearly because it's a win-win when they can put something on their CV, right? And there's no shame in the win-win situation, right? But I think you guys do a good job of managing medical students, and we have a lot of medical students, future dermatologists that listen to T4. And so as far as the next gen, you want to talk a little bit about that next gen conference and how they might be able to get involved with that?
Sure, I'd love to. So yeah, we've had a lot of demand from medical students to be part of the PeDRA community in recent years. And like you said, we see it's a win-win if we can really cultivate these relationships, provide meaningful skills, bring them into the community, help them ultimately match in dermatology, and hopefully pursue a career in pediatric dermatology. We don't have enough people in this field. And if you look at where the next generation of clinicians or clinician scientists in Pete's term come from, they're going to be medical students right now, obviously. So how do we support that community? So what we ended up putting in place a few years ago was this program called the Next Gen Research Forum. It happens at the PeDRA annual conference. We started it during the pandemic when we were running the meeting virtually, and we've done it in person now 3 times. It's an evening followed by a morning program dedicated to medical students. The evening is a reception where we usually provide some sort of program that is relevant to the student audience interested in pursuing a career in peds derm. So this past year we had a panel with 4 mid-career clinician scientists kind of sharing their journey, answering questions, engaging with the audience. And then the second day of the Next Gen Research Forum is really active for the students. So the students, or a certain subset of the students, have an opportunity upon an application and review process to give a presentation to a small audience with an expert moderator in the room. And then there's kind of an engaging discussion around the presentation. It's more than just kind of getting up, giving a 5-minute talk and sitting down. This is really, you present, you answer questions from your peers, you get feedback from an expert. It's really dynamic. And we know that the students really appreciate it. So it's a meaningful training, a lot of networking. And on top of that, this is just a sliver of the overall PeDRA conference, which you get to attend, where you can be part of focus study group breakout sessions, all the general sessions, the receptions, everything else we've discussed. So really great. We've seen a lot of interest in this program. We due to space limitations, we do have to cap the attendance based on an application process. You do need to be a PeDRA member to be considered for the Next Gen Research Forum. We actually now have a dedicated category of membership for medical students. So I'd encourage anybody out there listening, like Alana mentioned, to join us as a PeDRA member. It's free. It's free all the way through your training. So the residency, fellowship, all that. You can be part of the PeDRA community, get special benefits, have access to our conference, and really see what it's all about. This is such an amazing community. It's hard to envision coming to a conference, being part of a research project, being engaged in pediatric dermatology, and not being just compelled to want to do more. So whether you become a pediatric dermatologist or something else, I think you'll want to do more for this population just for having engaged with us. So certainly our doors are wide open. Please come join us.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the AAD in Orlando is on the horizon. if people want to connect with you, are you guys going to what's the presence going to be like at the AAD meeting, the upcoming meeting?
We don't have a huge presence at AAD, so I will be there with one of our staff, and we do a ton of meetings. We're also attending the Dermatology Nurses Association meeting right before it, so we'll be at a lot of the events, see you around. Where we actually have a bigger presence is at the Society for Investigative Dermatology meeting. So, as more of a research organization, they're a very strong partner of ours. We have a session on the Friday during SID, which is in San Diego this year. We then have a dinner that evening. It's a great fun dinner. It's not as fun as the karaoke, but it's pretty fun, casual dinner. Um, we would love for anybody who's going to be there, certainly our members or other folks, sort of patient advocacy partners, to join us for our session and our dinner during SID in San Diego. More information to come on that. And then I would want to, while I'm talking about meetings, just mention another brand new meeting that we're holding. It's called the Pathways to Progress Summit. I'm not sure if you came across that one on our website.
No, this is news to me. See, again, you're educating me,
There
so
you go.
I love it.
So one of the other things I'm really proud of PeDRA for, one of our really inherent characteristics, is that we're very nimble, we're very responsive, we're forward moving. This field is evolving, and we are committed to evolving right alongside it to be providing benefit and infrastructure and support that helps us move forward however we look in any particular year. So this year, we're launching this new program, Pathways to Progress Summit. It's May 16th to 17th in Boston. Applications have actually closed for it, but please keep an eye on it because it's just the first of many years that we intend to run this program. A two-day educational program, all dedicated to working with industry, participating in clinical research, understanding the risks and benefits, who are the people at a pharmaceutical company or other industry collaborator who you might come across through the course of an academic career. How can you work with them collaboratively? Kind of recognizing, again, the risks, benefits, understanding that for something to ultimately reach the patient bedside, it needs to pass through a company that has the resources, can take the risk to do a trial, to ultimately manufacture and market a product. And so we're bringing together 20 early career investigators or late stage trainees for this two-day program with a really an amazing faculty. I won't list their names, encourage you to check it out on our website, but they're amazing people who we have leading this program, and are really excited to see the impact of something like this. Just 2 days, 20 people. I'm sure that is going to set things on a different trajectory moving forward, with those 20 folks being better equipped to contribute to academic clinical research moving forward, and how that might change the landscape for drug development and ultimately improve patient lives. So.
Wow, yay! That's
Yay.
so exciting. Yeah,
Yeah,
and when we circle back and do a T4 in 5 years from now, you're going to tell me that 200 people are coming to that. And
exactly. Thinking about how we can grow this, but yeah, very
yeah,
excited. Yeah.
yeah. Well, congrats on that. That is so exciting. And then as far as connecting with you, the website, tell me the website address again.
Yeah, PeDRAresearch.org. So https:// PeDRAresearch.org. You can also find us on social media. We have a great social media presence.
Go out
Um,
there and like all the PeDRA posts, like.
exactly. So that's at PeDRA Research. You can follow us there. And then again, if you're interested, please join us as a member. We say, we give a lot back to our members. We don't have very hefty membership dues. I think we're the most affordable membership dues in the community, I'd say, around us. We're trying to bring people in, build a community. We're not getting rich off membership dues, but really working to invest back in our members, build this community of people who can help us advance our mission, help us improve the lives of children and families with skin diseases. So yeah, please get involved. And membership also does extend to patients and families. We have a community membership category, another free membership category. So whether you're a patient or a caregiver listening, or you have patients in clinic who you're seeing, let them know. We honor one patient member every year through our awards program, along with a couple of other folks, Volunteer of the Year, Mentor of the Year. We also have an award category for patient stakeholder. So yeah, we're always trying to build the community and provide opportunities to get involved.
Yeah, and another way to get involved too is Dash for Discovery, right? You can do that even
Oh,
virtually, right? That's
yeah, thanks a
way
lot.
like
Yeah. So our
yeah.
annual fun run, it's extremely fun. That's what I say. It's great. The fourth or
I
fifth
have
year.
a t-shirt.
It's an awesome t-shirt. So if for nothing else, and you're looking for a great long sleeve cotton t-shirt, something that has kind of fallen out of the whatever the shelves at clothing stores. It's a great shirt we offer, and it's really fun. It's we're raising money. It's a fundraising run, either a 1 mile walk or a 5K jog, or you can walk 5K if you want as well. We do it alongside the PeDRA conference in person, or like Alana said, you can do it virtually anytime, anywhere during the week leading up to the PeDRA annual conference. And yeah, really a fun event. And we're raising a lot of really important resources that go directly back into PeDRA in support of our research infrastructure and our mission.
Yeah. Yay, so much good stuff. Well, Mike, thanks for taking a little bit of time to talk to me and educate me even. See, I learned something too, and I thought I knew all things
You knew it
PeDRA.
all.
But yeah, but you're amazing. The work you guys are doing are amazing, and I'm glad that we were able to have you on T4 P2, the patient perspective, since you guys do so much with the patient perspective. And again, I can't wait to have you back in a year or two, even. Well, light years different, because again, you guys are advancing things so quickly. So yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I will look forward to seeing you at the AAD.
Yeah, well, it was a pleasure, Alana. I really appreciate this. Thank you so much. And yeah, great chatting with you.
Yes. All right, friends. Good night and keep learning about pediatric dermatology. We need more of you. We want more of you. And we're here for you. We're here to support your educational journey now and into the future. So connect with us as well through the SAGES website and spread the word so more people can learn about pediatric dermatology, the best specialty in the whole wide world. All right. Good night.